Okay. Well, this is totally new territory for me. I've done a ton of podcasts. I'm like 30 deep into my own podcast, but I've never done video like this or going live on YouTube. And since I'm getting this YouTube thing going, I keep hearing I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this, blah, 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 blah. But this was something totally important. So I figured I'd do it. I don't know how many people are going to tune in. I don't know if anybody's going to tune in, but I figured why not give it a shot. Talk a little bit about the Lakers. Talk a little bit about Team USA, what I've seen. Yeah, and go from there. And hopefully, this doesn't completely bomb. But from what I keep hearing, you just kind of got to do it, and you'll probably be cringing at this down the road if you keep doing it, and just get better and better and better, whatever. So got a new logo that I'm debuting. Okay, that's here in the corner. I can't even get this shit right there. I thought that was kind of cool. I don't know if you guys can see it all right. Give me some feedback on it if you can. It's another thing it took me forever to put together just because of, I don't like doing stuff like that about myself. I'm sure a lot of you are the same way. Anyway, let's get right into it. Lakers. You basically hear a pin drop right now in terms of what the team is doing and what they've done this summer. It's pretty brutal, I'll say. I've been covering this team for, I want to say, about 15 years, since about 2000. First games covered live was 2011, but I was writing well before that. So you guys do the math. But I've never seen it like this before. I've never seen the Lakers literally do nothing, even though it was, it's not a small thing that they re-signed LeBron and secured Max Christie's future, which I thought was a good move, even though it's getting criticized because they didn't do anything else. But to just flatline on everything else, and all these guys, even these like role players like Gary Trent Jr., Tyus Jones, just signing everywhere else but the Lakers is pretty brutal. I got to say, this is probably the roughest offseason I've ever seen in terms of still having expectations. I mean, there's been worse. I still remember being on, like, ready to go to write and everything when it I can't remember which year it was, but you guys will know right away once I say this. Timothy Mozgov and Luol Deng was their two big home runs. And I think it was the two first reported deals in free agency that year. Kupchak and Jim Buss just kind of totally screwing the team over. Two moves that did absolutely nothing for the team. But that was the beginning and end of those two. Even though I think Kupchak was a pretty good GM, that was a rough way to go out. But this offseason, man, I throw my hands in the air. I don't know what the hell's going on. I think it's just, Palenka signing those guys to deals with player options for this year may have really bit them in the ass a bit. Cam Reddish, who I'm sure everybody would be like, see ya if they had the chance. Maybe that still happens if they can package him in a trade somewhere. D'Angelo Russell was $18 million or something like that that he opted into, but I think, was it Jovan Buha said on his podcast recently, the moment he opted in, they've been trying to trade him ever since. And I totally get it, because he's really basically your only real valuable trade asset outside of Austin Reeves that they want to move or could move. And that stuff could still happen. I don't see a game-changing move. The only real game changer that seems to be available right now, that's is rumored to be moved is Lauri Markkanen from Utah Jazz. And he's not coming to LA. Even though that sounds great and everything, he'd be great alongside LeBron and AD, and give that, take some pressure on AD in the front court. But that's not happening, man. He's either going to Golden State or San Antonio, and I think he'd be great for both of those teams. I don't know if that does enough for San Antonio to become a title contender again, but I think it's an upgrade over Clay, because Clay's, let's be honest, it's just not the same guy anymore, and Lauri's kind of in his prime. So maybe they could be like a middle of the pack team if they make that move. Title contender, I wouldn't say go that far just yet. But then again, you never know. You see these guys playing and they have great chemistry, and it could be like exactly what's needed. But yeah, it sucks, man. I mean, Jeremy Grant is the one that keeps coming up as a possible name to get moved to LA, but it seems like Portland just wants too much for him. I think it was 2 first-round picks and pieces was the last thing I heard. And Grant, I don't think does much for this team. I mean, it's basically they would do it just because it's the only thing they could do, right? And kind of, calm the storm a little bit and be like, okay, well, at least we did something. That's how sad it's gotten at this point. I honestly, if I would bet on it, I would say the Dogs making appearances. They always do. Get used to that, because no matter what I do, I can't get these dogs to be quiet while I'm online. I literally put them downstairs, put a gate up, like a really secure gate too. And the little one, somehow, I think she went under it, and the big one went over it, or just completely knocked it down. But they're up here. They're up here. Sure enough. I love them to death. But man, they cannot be more than like 5 feet away from me. They just can't. They can't handle it. And then they bark, and then they love looking out the window and barking anything that goes by. And a lot of people in my neighborhood just are walking dogs all day long, so because it's beautiful outside, and it's like a dog community. So they got to react. Anyway, that's them. See more of them. But Jeremy Grant, yeah, I think if they're going to do anything, it'll probably be him, or like something just comes completely out of the blue, which is not, it's happened in the past. Could happen again. Wouldn't shock me. But yeah, I think that's the only way they're going right now. And every update we get is just kind of blah. It's just like nothing. It's like the last one, I think it was Jovan again, saying, let me pull it up real quick. I gotta get used to all this stuff while I'm live. As things stand, the Lakers are preaching patience that the right trade will eventually materialize, while betting that healthier versions of Jared Vanderbilt and Gabe Vincent, and the addition of Connect and the promotion of Christie into the rotation will shore up the group's perimeter defense, athleticism, and shooting. Now that's basically saying we're screwed. This is it. This is all we have. If a trade materializes, preaching patience means we can't get something done because nobody's buying what we're selling, which sucks. I mean, like, for lack of a better word, it sucks. Like, Lakers fans have high demands, and they should, because they have 17 banners hanging in the rafters at Crypto, which I still cringe every time I say. That's Staples Center. That's not Crypto, man. I can't picture anybody in the future being like, oh, Crypto. Like, it's Staples. It's Staples. They won all their titles at Staples. It's Staples. Anyway, that's besides the point. There's a little frustration, which I'm sure all Laker fans feel. But this preaching patience thing, man, it's a tough pill to swallow, especially with not a single signing having been done. Like I said, I've never seen that before. That's wild. That's just crazy, man. I don't really understand it. I guess it's just the constraints of the new CBA and the aprons and all that crap, all the financial stuff that's hard to understand. But man, just brutal to be a Lakers fan right now. But I mean, there is some positivity. They could still, when this team is healthy or whole, as LeBron likes to say, they're not bad. They're a decent team. Are they a great team? I don't know so much. But do they have the potential to be a great team? Yes, I do believe so. I think when it's all firing, all the guys are bought in and everything, then cool. I mean, did they do themselves any favors this summer? No. They hired a head coach who has zero coaching experience, which still is crazy to me. They drafted a kid who probably shouldn't have got drafted, 4.8 points in college, and that's, I feel for Bronny. I do, because I feel like he's going to get a lot of crap that isn't his fault per se. He's just been thrust into the situation because of Clutch Sports and his dad and everything, and the pressure is going to be immense. He's players in the locker room are going to look at him the wrong way without him even saying a word. So it sucks on his end, but I do believe it wasn't the smart move in terms of, if you want, at this point in time, the Lakers have no margin for error whatsoever. Nothing can really go wrong. No added distractions, and that's all they did. All they did was add distractions on top. Watching the one thing everybody's going to be watching from the outside, people that aren't Lakers fans or whatever, is waiting for JJ Redick to fail and waiting for Bronny to embarrass himself if he does get to play on the professional level this year and not just the G League. Where we're getting conflicting reports like, oh, he's going to spend most of the time in the G League, which makes perfect sense for a second rounder who still has to prove himself. But they want to make your plank of preaching history, because that's all he can really sell right now, that he will get up and play with his dad at least once. And that's fine for that. But, you got to think from the perspective of the other guys in the locker room, thinking this kid is here for reasons that I am not, right? Like, I worked my way to get up here. I'm not saying that Bronny didn't work, but Lottie, look at Reeves' path to being an NBA player and being a starter. It's incredible what that guy overcame. And what Bronny overcame, the health issue wise, is incredible too. But it's just, this is where it gets tough. It's they're bound to hit a rough patch at some point, and hopefully it's not because of LeBron and Bronny and Clutch and all that. Hopefully it's just because just what you deal with during an 82 game season. Things get rough at times. Players get hurt. They go on. All of a sudden they go cold, can't hit a shot. Or they just come up against really good teams, which they're going to. The West is absolutely stacked. It's going to be really tough. And if the Warriors get Markkanen, there's another damn tough team. If the Spurs get Markkanen, that's another tough team. I think the Spurs are not going to totally catapult to title contender status, but the addition of CP3 and Markkanen would be huge for them. I think that speeds up their rebuilding process by a couple of years at least. And then if Wembanyama takes another step, then that's scary, right? So as everybody in the West is getting better, and they're all kind of building organically for the most part. OKC, Denver signing Westbrook, that is got to be the funniest move of the offseason so far, because I don't understand it at all, unless Jokic is just pulling the strings and he, for some reason, really likes Westbrook. I think that's a disaster waiting to happen. You could see them kind of go down this year, but who knows? Maybe they go. I don't know. That's the thing. We're in this kind of weird limbo stage where there's a lot of stars, established stars in the league that are getting old and starting to go, the other direction. Steph, KD, LeBron, just in terms of age, miles on their body, and their teams not being able to put it together. Phoenix could be good this year. They should be good, but I thought they would be awesome last year, and they weren't. So I don't know. I just think a lot's up in the air. But then you got Minnesota trending way up, OKC trending way up, Dallas trending up. It's just, there's so much tough competition. But one thing that I think it's tough for a lot of Lakers fans is to be optimistic when things haven't happened in their favor, right? And them making questionable moves. It's really tough to be like, oh, okay, we're going to be great. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. But I guess the one thing that you could look at and be like, hey, look, well, this is a good sign, is LeBron and AD just absolutely balling out for Team USA. Granted, it's a lot easier to ball out like that when you got stars all around you, right? but it does show that they're still on top of their game. And I think I've been more impressed. I mean, I know LeBron's getting a lot of press, Captain America stuff and all that. AD is the one that's really impressed me because, you kind of expect that from LeBron, but sometimes you don't know what you're going to get from AD. And I think I haven't seen him play this consistently well over the course of like 2 years in his whole career, like going back to maybe like his early days in New Orleans where he was just dropping crazy numbers every night, but they weren't winning. There's a big difference there. But he's ridiculous on both ends of the floor. That is the most impressive part. And I thought it was absolutely ridiculous that Embiid was getting all those starts over him. It made no sense to me. Embiid is a great player, but I think Embiid is the type of player where you have to have the system geared to the way he plays, or it's not gonna work, right? It's like if the system is not going at his speed, which is kind of slow, then he doesn't know what to do. He can't flow with everything else. Whereas AD is that versatile, and that's like where he moves like a guard. He can handle the ball. He's quick. He's extremely versatile. You just see the difference, the huge difference between those two guys, and probably the reason why AD's got a title and Embiid doesn't, right? I mean, Embiid's got the MVP, which I'm sure AD would love to have in his trophy case, but I'm sure he's glad that he's got a ring, right? And striving for another and striving for gold. And then him getting the start the other day was cool. It was not cool to see him, go down with that ankle injury, which, we've seen so many times over the past couple of years with him. But he's also got a newfound toughness to him too, where I think he just plays through stuff rather than being overly cautious and, oh, hey, look, wrap this up and call it a day kind of thing. Like he said after the game, I think it was Ben Golliver of the Washington Post said that AD said he's 100%. 100%. No way he's 100%. But the fact he says that and he's not like, a little cautious or whatever, that's awesome. He's all in. I think he knows this is the peak of his prime, and the fact that, the end, he can see the end of his career, right? Which, I mean, it's still a ways away, but, he's at that point, where he's kind of like the middle or maybe a little bit past the middle where you just kind of like, you get realistic about what's going on and you got to ball out. You're going to keep going. So injuries happen. You can't avoid them. They just happen. It sucks, but that's the way it is. But yeah, great. I can't wait to see him play against France, against Gobert and Wembanyama, even though that team isn't close to what I thought they would be. I thought having those two guys in the front court would be daunting. Like nobody's driving the basket. The defense is just elite. But they suck. They're not very good. I mean, they got that win over Japan, but I think there was some home cooking there because Japan was playing their hearts out. And Japan's not great, but Rui, who was taking damn near every shot, and it was kind of cool to see Rui do that. And I think he loves being the guy, being the man, right? But him getting kicked out for what he got kicked out for was like, what? Rui kicked out of a game? The guy never looks angry ever. Never does anything like nefarious, and he gets booted from a game in the Olympics. That's just crazy. And then they kept fighting, and they had some crazy blocks down the. Sorry, just getting a second Kobe statue revealed. Well, of course that's going to happen while I'm on live, depicting Kobe and Gigi. That's cool. Can't wait to see that. I'm wondering where they're putting it though. I'm thinking we got Kobe in the front, right? And there's going to be, two more? You got to have it on the other entrance, right? The corner entrance on the other side, like kind of not directly, but like on the corner over there. Just trying to think positioning wise, because I never go on that side. The media, when you come straight through the garage and you just kind of go through the front where the credential area is. But I don't even go over to the statue side, so I never even get to see that very often, unless there's like an event or something. But yeah, it's got to be on that other corner. I'm curious to see that. Damn it, why'd it have to be right now? So breaking news. Breaking news. Second Kobe statue unveiled. Man, they just threw that out there. There's no warning or nothing. And that was Dave McMenamin that just reported that. So I wonder if there's a press release or anything. Just give me a second, guys. Sorry. Was this earlier? Am I just getting this notification now? No, couldn't have been. Come on now. Just a pause. Sorry. First live, and this is what happens. He didn't tweet nothing. So that's just an ESPN alert. Interesting. Nothing from the Lakers haven't sent me anything either. So I don't know. So you guys are going to see it when I see it. But that's kind of cool. Can't wait to see if that. I hope it's. I loved the last one. I know they screwed up on the inscription or something, right? Something got spelled wrong, or no, what was it? The box score that was on it that they screwed up on. I can't. Man, these days. I mean, everybody makes mistakes. I make goddamn mistakes. I mean, the other day I got so frustrated because I was tweeting something out about the Dodger game, right? And I kept getting it wrong. And I was doing it so fast, and I was so tired because it was like the end of the day, and I'm like your eyes getting blurry. You just want have dinner and go to bed, and I just over and over and over again the wrong damn thing, and I was just like, screw it, I'm just gonna delete them all. That's it. I'm tired of taking because you do anything wrong on Twitter and somebody finds out like right away, like they see it right away. You could go over it 10 times and not see it. And somebody on Twitter, oh, yo, you did this, you did that. Because it's all about correcting people on Twitter. But anyway, where was I? AD, loving it. Loving what I'm seeing. I hope he keeps it up. I hope the ankle's not going to bother him. I think Steve Kerr already announced that Embiid is starting again on Saturday against Puerto Rico. But it's a game that doesn't matter because they've already clinched. To go to the next round, so the group stage is going to be over, or whatever. And I'm curious. I can't wait to see them play Canada again because I was there when they played Canada in Vegas, and even though it was kind of tense in the beginning, and I think Canada got off to a decent lead, it just wasn't really a competitive matchup at all. But then again, it's an exhibition game. I don't know how serious either one was taking it. I think it was a feeling out process. Canada, I think, is a really talented team, and I think they could, if they get hot, they could beat Team USA. I think Germany could too. I mean, I don't think that's gonna, because I think once KD came back, you saw what this team is like when it's everybody on, right? KD just made such a huge difference. I think he scored like 23 and missed one shot and was just draining from outside. He made it look super easy. Can consider the competition too. Serbia was awful. That's another team I thought would be better with Jokic, but I just don't think he has many guys around him. I think that's the case for a few teams. Greece is the same way. It's Giannis and a bunch of nobodies, really. But yeah, I can't wait to see the schedule for the next few games and see what's going to happen. And see what else we got going on here that I can talk about. Shams came out and said that Kobe is his GOAT. He made an appearance on the OGs podcast with Mike Miller and Udonis Haslem and got put on the spot. And I don't think he wanted to answer the question because they didn't want to alienate LeBron fans or MJ fans. And just came out and said Kobe. But the way he described it, I thought was pretty cool. Shams is a nice guy. I met that guy once a few years ago at this PDA sports event or whatever. Really nice, laid-back dude. And I met Woj too, ironically enough. After Kobe's 60-point game, I was walking with him in the tunnel to the press conference area and talking to him about what we just witnessed and how crazy it was. Still the craziest, best live sporting event I've ever covered as part of the media. And I remember Woj going, yeah, it's just compared. He said like he thought that it was just like Derek Jeter's last game, and how cool that was. I was like, wow. And I'm not a huge baseball guy. I'm like a casual Dodgers fan. I've been ever since I was a kid. My dad was a big Dodgers fan. So I thought that was cool. And I just, when I saw the documentary on Jeter recently, I think it was on HBO or Max or whatever the hell they're calling it now. I saw that the last game and how he came through in the clutch and how cool it was. And it's like, yeah, it's similar. I mean, Kobe dropping 60 is pretty otherworldly. But it was cool. I mean, either way. Anyway, I'm anxious to see this statue, man. I wish there was some pictures or something, and maybe you guys have already seen it. I'm going through StreamYard here, so I don't know if there's a chat I should be looking at. I don't even know if there's anybody tuned in right now. Don't blame you. It's early. You guys all have jobs, I'm sure. And the ones that don't, or they're doing the same thing I'm doing or whatever, all power to you. I want to say thank you guys for supporting the channel so far. Like I said, I am just totally new to this. I know I had to get into this space eventually. I've been super reluctant to get on camera because I don't like looking at myself on camera. I hate it. But it's something I just got to get over. So I'm going to be doing this a hell of a lot more because this is where I want to go. This is what I want to do. This is and it's fun. I got all the tools and bells and whistles now, and I just got to put them to use and hopefully give you guys content you guys want on a regular basis. So till next time, guys, appreciate you tuning in if you tuned in. If not, I'll see you again. If I'm talking to myself right now, whatever, got one done. Cool. Till next time.